Hey y'all, it is Wednesday, it is 12 noon, and I am here. Welcome to Mom's Mentoring Circle Facebook Live on Wednesdays at noon. I'm Deborah Porter, and here at Mom's Mentoring Circle, we support mostly at-home moms with systems to help them stay organized, their own lives, their schedules, also the lives of their children, their homes. And the purpose of that is so that as not just moms, but as women, we can then also go after our own goals, dreams, and desires. So I'm going to dive right in for those that are already here, and then others will come in or watch on the replay. So today we're talking about summer learning loss. What is summer learning loss, and how do we stop it? So summer learning loss, it goes by a couple of different names. I just want to make sure this is all happening properly. So I'm just going to double check here real quickly. Thanks for joining in. Okay, so we're good. So summer learning loss is also known by the summer slide, the summer setback. And really what it talks about is the loss of academic skills and knowledge over the course of summer break. And the degree of loss varies per student, per school district, and most of the significant loss is between grades 2 and 9. So that's the population we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about our kids that are between 2nd grade and 9th grade and how to stop the summer learning loss. So it is said that students can lose anywhere from 1 to 2 months of learning, of academic learning. And so our hope is that we can help stop that, right? Because the idea that students are getting back into the school building in August and the teachers having to spend, in some cases, 4, 5, or 6 weeks reteaching stuff that the kids had already learned last year makes it difficult to then get in all of the information and all that needs to be taught to them for this current school year. And I've always wondered if, sometimes when you know that the kids are getting one assignment after another, I wonder if this is because of summer slide. I wonder if because of the summer learning loss, the teachers had so much they had to reteach that they're now kind of forced to really kind of fit in and squeeze in what they were unable to, what the kids were unable to retain. So what do we do and what can we do about summer learning loss? It may not seem like a big deal. You may think, well, they're in school for 9 months, they lose a month worth of learning, not a big deal. Well, it kind of is a big deal because it's cumulative from 2nd grade to 9th grade. And again, it then impacts the teacher's ability to get in all of the information and the academic learning for that current school year. So let's talk about it a little bit. I'm going to offer suggestions, pointers, tips, some for at-home moms, because that's what I was, and so kind of my systems and how they worked. Also some for moms that work outside of the home, because it doesn't really matter. Our struggle is the same. We want the best for our kids. We want them to be their best, and we want to provide them with the opportunity to excel and to succeed. So when we're talking about summer learning loss and how to combat it, the idea is, and some of the studies suggest, that really 45 minutes a day, Monday through Friday, pretty much, can make a huge difference in how much of a slide your student or your child sees when they get back to school in August. So we're not talking about a whole lot of time. And I know that when summer comes, as moms, we're so happy to be rid of the schedule and rid of having to regiment and be on top of them for things like this. But this is really loose. This is not a big deal. Hey, Crystal. Hey, Darlene. How are y'all doing? It took me a minute to see y'all's comments. Thanks for joining in. So it is going to require some type of structure, not necessarily a full schedule, but it will require some type of structure. And for our house, that meant no screen time, no friends, no bike riding, no pool, no anything until you got your reading and your math done. Now, sometimes we would do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 30 minutes of reading, Tuesday, Thursday, 20 minutes of math. I mean, you can do it however you want. This isn't meant to be burdensome. It's really just meant to have us know, hey, Felicia, to have us know that there is a way in 45 minutes, an hour tops, where we can help prevent the summer slide. Felicia, I should have had you on here as a guest to really talk more to the whole summer slide situation since you are in the school system. So I want to talk about what are some of the things that we can do, some of the tips, some of the systems that I use, some of the books, and just some of the actual activities that you can do with your child and that your child can do alone as well to prevent the summer slide and to really stop it from impacting your kid. So one thing I want us to think about is ways that we can collaborate with other moms as well, because that can be huge. I remember my oldest had a friend spend the night one Friday night over the summer. And she says to me, Miss Porter, thank you for having me, but I can't stay and spend the day with you guys on Saturday. My dad's going to pick me up Saturday morning. Well, I said, oh, that's fine, honey. We'll miss you, but have a good weekend. And she says, yeah, well, I have Saturday math school. Well, I sat straight up. I thought, Saturday math school? I said, honey, what is Saturday math school? And so her dad was a professor at Georgetown University here in DC in the math department. And every Saturday morning for about 2 hours, he took his kids, some of their friends, their cousins, and they did math school. Well, as soon as he showed up to pick her up for math school, my question was, can my child join you guys for math school? That sounds really fantastic. Now, they were maybe, I want to say 4th, 5th grade maybe, so just before middle school. As a result of that, I mean, my child was happy to go to play with some friends, but as a result of that, hey, Tammy, how are you? As a result of that, by the time these kids got to middle school, hey, Walanda, they were doing high school math. So by the time Chanel's in 10th grade, she's maxed out all of her math in high school. She is taking math at the local university. And really that just was because this precious child mentioned that she was going to Saturday math school and that her father, a math instructor at Georgetown University, led the class. So I jumped all over that. I think they did it for a couple of summers. I think by then, my kid was tapping out. But the impact on that and the fact that that man took the time to do that with these kids and provide them with such a strong foundation in math followed my child through college and even into today. Darlene says, yes, you're right. With my class, I give them workbooks of work we did all year for them to work on during summer. So when they go to 5th grade, they don't have a lot of reviewing 4th grade. Darlene, that's incredible. That's fantastic. And I was going to talk about those packets as well that teachers sometimes offer and give out. And you make another point that I wanted to make as well. The idea of doing some of this work during the summer is not about you introducing or having to teach your child new concepts. It's about solidifying the foundation. So if they left whatever grade they were in doing multiplication, then they're solidifying those multiplication skills so that next year division is not as challenging. So I don't want you to look at this like, oh my gosh, now I have to become a teacher and figure out how to teach. No, this is all about solidifying the foundation. All right. So and really the subjects we're talking about are reading, math, and writing. Those are the areas that were measured as far as where the most academic loss was found. So reading and math were the two. I threw in writing because I think as you read, writing kind of comes natural as well. But reading and math were the subjects. Now, for the younger ones, this is kind of linear, right? So they read a little bit. They can read to you while you're cooking, or when they're younger, you want them to read out loud because you want to make sure they're pronouncing words right and that you can help them with their comprehension. It doesn't always have to be linear, though. It doesn't always have to be them sitting in a spot working on a workbook. There are ways to make this a bit more fun, a bit more interactive for them, and a bit more engaging. So again, in our home, no electronics, no fun stuff, no TV, no friends, no bike, no pool, none of that until this 45 minutes of work was done. And we didn't do it every single day. I mean, my kids will probably say, yes, we did, Mom. But, there were days where, they got invited to a sleepover. Okay, I'm not going to make you come home at 10 o'clock in the morning and do that. But you want to be as consistent as possible, 3 to 5 days a week, not on weekends. That's a bit much, I think. But when we're talking about it in a structured in a structured scenario, that's what we're talking about, actually sitting down and reading. However, there's a lot of unstructured ways to get a lot of this done as well. Again, I'm going to talk about our 2nd through 9th grade students, but I do have some helpful hints for our high school students as well. The academic loss was not as significant in the high school years, but there are really some other things that we need to be doing and should be doing with our high school students as well. Felicia says, as a special education teacher, I would see the summer slide. One of my parents only allowed a student to watch TV with the sound off and closed caption on. This small step increased the student's fluency, speed, and comprehension. I was amazed at his growth. That is incredible. That's incredible. I don't even know how she thought of that, but I think that's fantastic. So that's another option. If you're letting them watch TV, they have to read it instead of listen to it. So they're watching, but they're also having to read. That's awesome. Okay, so one of the things we want to talk about as well is how to squeeze and fit some of this in on fun times, or in a fun way. So wherever you live, whatever community you're in, you want to think about field trips. You want to think about museums, science, art, music, history. You want to think about ways to, as you're walking through these buildings and through these museums, what are the things that your child is naturally gravitating towards? What are the things that they find engaging and interesting and they want to take pictures in front of? Because what you can do with that information is then your next trip to the library, expand on that. Okay, you love the dinosaurs. Oh my gosh, look at all these books on dinosaurs. You should get one. And I really want to highlight here, if nothing else, if you require nothing else of your child, require them to read all summer. Require them to read all summer. And the thing about reading is it will increase and help their comprehension, their ability to write, their ability to communicate and speak. So require reading if nothing else. There are fun ways to do that. You know, most libraries will have some kind of a, they'll have a way that kids can earn prizes, and, you get little stickers, and at the end of the summer you get, some little dollar store prize or something. There are more and more kids are creating book clubs. I have a friend whose daughter is 10 that started her own book club with her neighborhood friends. So there's ways to do that where that it's engaging and it's not just them sitting and reading there at the house. The other thing you want to think about when you are creating this schedule of this 30 to 45, 50 minutes, maybe an hour of them doing this particular type of activity. In my house, it was very important that everybody did it at the same time. Because if one kid was doing it after everybody else and everybody else was playing, it was distracting. Well, they're playing, I want to play. So everybody had to do it at the same time. So that means in my house, by about 10 o'clock in the morning, I needed some wrestling. I needed people to start waking up. This whole sleep until noon thing did not work for me. I've never bought into that. I struggle with it when they come home and do it now, but they're grown. But as youngsters, by 10 o'clock, I need to hear some movement going on so that the day can start. And as they're spending that time reading and doing some math, I use that time for myself. I did not fill those quiet moments with another chore, for lack of a better word. I didn't use that to mop. I didn't use that time if they're quiet and they're reading, I'm going to use that time to journal for myself. Anytime that you're doing something with or for your kids and you can also do something for yourself is a win-win. So everybody take that minute and take that time to just be quiet. There's no TV, there's no music. Well, there may be a little background music, but it's a moment for everybody to just kind of enjoy and take a minute and step back and enjoy kind of the stillness before the day really gets up and gets rolling. So again, the idea here is to build on the foundation. You are not teaching and introducing new systems and lessons and topics. This is all about shoring up the foundation. So there's other things I want to talk about of ways to do this too. So cooking is a great way to also have them learn. Okay, you need 2/3 cup of flour. How much more would you need for it to be a whole cup? What would you need? It's just another way to infuse learning into your everyday routine. And I think that's really the idea here, is that I just want you to be aware that the summer slide, the summer setback, the summer learning loss is a real thing. And so you want to just really be thinking about, how can I infuse some learning into what we're doing? So we've got cooking, balancing a checkbook for our older kids, students. I don't even know who uses a checkbook anymore. But the idea of balancing a checkbook, the idea of budgeting. Okay, let your high schooler know, here's our food budget for the month or the week, however often you shop. Here's our food budget. I want you to come grocery shopping with me. And you're able to connect the dots. Okay, so if we eat out 5 nights a week at $40 each night, that's, how much is that? And how much is that taken from the food budget? Okay, we can't do that. So not only is it a math skill, it's a life skill. Financial literacy, I have no idea why that's not taught in schools on a more consistent and real basis. But you want to use opportunities like that. It's also a great time to get other areas of your home organized and cleaned out, whether you have a garage or a basement. You've got stuff that this is a great opportunity for our older kids to earn some extra money, right? This is an extra chore. This is something on top of what they normally do. And it also just helps them with organizing, being able to take some space and figure out what fits where, how does this work? Right? So you can show them, okay, I need this area cleaned. I need a pile of what we're throwing away, what we're giving away, and what we're recycling. Everything that remains, I need it to fit neatly here so that I can then see what's what. Here are the containers. It's just another way to involve our kids into some of the things that are just normal life skills, and then offer to pay them. For some students, or for some of our kids, their currency isn't money. Money doesn't speak that loud. For us, we had one child that really wanted more freedom. They wanted a later curfew. They wanted more access to the car. So it depends on the age your child is. And, at one age, they just wanted a brand new toy. So using opportunities like that, whether it's a garage, a basement, all of our kids have clothes in their closets that they cannot wear anymore. They can't fit them. Okay, go through your closet. I need a pile of what you can't wear anymore, what we're giving away, what we have to throw away. It's an opportunity to engage them and involve them in a different way that really during the school year, we just don't have the time for in most cases. Now, the thing that may throw a wrench into this whole thing is if your child is involved in a sport that requires summer practices. All right, football, for instance. That's going to change it some because, they have 1-a-days and then they go to 2-a-days at some point. And so you want to think about that and how this may end up looking a little bit different for your family in those situations. But again, if nothing else, they need to read. Darlene says, I have to go, but I have my daughter watching Star Luckett. She has small children. Oh, Star is beautiful too. Have a good day, Darlene. All right, so you want to think about the field trips. The other thing that becomes a really great way to infuse learning, and sometimes they know it and sometimes they don't, when you do family game night, Scrabble is a great game and they are learning the whole time. Taboo is another great game that they're learning the whole time. There are puzzles. So I really want you thinking, I don't want you to lose the fact that the summer slide is real. And so whatever your normal routine is in your family, how do I then infuse and put some of these things in place for my family? I want you to be aware for our moms that work outside the home, whether part-time, full-time, the opportunity to engage and to use the services of your local parks and rec, your local community centers, your local performing arts centers. There are now writing centers popping up all over. All of these are opportunities to engage in that way as well. All of these are going to provide our students with some level of learning during the summer as well as fun. And as we speak about and think about our high school students, right? Even though this particular slide and learning loss did not impact them as greatly as it does the 2nd through 9th graders, there are still some things for high schoolers we really need to keep in mind. If you know, and if your high schooler has already said, yeah, I'm going to want to go to college. College is going to be my next step. This is a great time for them to begin to Google common college essay prompts, right? Start getting kind of a rough draft of a college essay. Looking at and looking for scholarships outside scholarships that could absolutely help with that next transition. Also looking at and beginning to do some PSAT test prep. And the idea here, even as young as, I had a friend that as young as 8th grade, she had her students, her kids doing PSATs. And I thought, why in the world are you stressing them right now for that? And it had nothing to do with their score. It was all about getting them used to the format of the test to reduce anxiety. Because for a lot of our students, the anxiety of the test is what takes them out. We know they know it, but the anxiety of the environment, the test. So the school of thought for the school where her children were was to diminish the anxiety, get them used to the test format, get them used to the testing environment, how quiet it is, and so that when the scores do count, that some of that anxiety has already been dealt with. So that's something to think about. Another thing that I really enjoyed doing or having my kids do was volunteer. The idea of seeing your child not only being mentored to and being helped, but then mentoring and helping a younger group of children. So as a camp counselor, as a summer school counselor, as a counselor at the local community center, at the local sports camp, maybe at your school. But finding an opportunity, and that can happen as young as 13, 12, 13, 14. Those kids in that age group can volunteer and bring a wealth of knowledge and help to the different coaches and teachers that are running the program. So consider having your child volunteer. There's a learning in that. Right? There's a learning in offering your gifts, talents, and abilities, but you're not getting a paycheck. You're not getting money in return. But what you are getting in return is the fact that you helped somebody else. So think of all of those opportunities and all of those different skills as an opportunity for our students to learn. So as I wrap up, I just want to go back over a couple of points as we're talking about the summer learning loss. Your local community center, parks and rec, performance centers, possibly your local university, are all offering at some point a free day program, half-day program, one-day program. They're offered. You just have to dig in and find them, but they're there. I also want you to remember to collaborate with other parents. You never know how a collaboration with another parent and your students doing something together can really benefit you and benefit your student more so in the future. So the books and things that we used over the years, these books have been around in some shape, form, or fashion for a long time. The Summer Bridge, the Summer Brain Quest, the Summer Blast, Summer Learning. As Darlene, who was on here, mentioned, most schools will give out a packet. Let me see, I've got a comment here from Felicia, who works with special ed. Felicia says, I suggest that students as young as middle school research company job requirements for the field they are interested in. Look at college programs that offer that field and their requirements and write a plan on how to achieve those goals. We did this with our children. Absolutely, Felicia. We did something similar. So our kids began knowing what colleges they wanted to go to. So by 9th grade, they're thinking about what they want to do. Okay, so what schools are great at that? What schools are churning out students that are getting jobs? Okay, so we've got that list. So now we want to look at what were the SAT scores for the incoming freshman class, right? What are the requirements? What does this school look for? Because in Ohio, where our kids, most of those years were lived, I think to graduate high school, you only needed 2 years of a foreign language. Well, the universities that my children were looking at wanted 4 years. So that allowed us at 9th grade and allowed them to then realize, well, if this is my dream, if this is my goal, this is what I have to do to submit to that. So it became less of what mom is making me take and more of, well, that's the school I want to go to because this is the field I want to be in. And they're churning out people that are getting jobs right at graduation. So that's what I got to do. So these years for our, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade students, this is a great time for them to start dreaming. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? What are you good at? Most schools will allow them to take there was some kind of survey or something that each of my students did that helped them to find out what would be good professions for them, for their personality type, for their natural skills and abilities, for those courses and the grades that they were getting. And so they got this list, I want to say 8th or 9th grade, about, these are professions you may want to consider. And I will tell you that 2 of the 3 of them are working in that field of study right now. So that, in my opinion, that test was rather accurate in nailing down for them the things that they would be good at, the things that were a good match for their natural skills and abilities. But I love that suggestion, Felicia, and I think that it helps to put our kids' lives back in their court and less in ours, right? As opposed to, I want you to be a XYZ. Let them discover that. One of my girlfriends used to send her kids to their room. I used to love this, to just dream when they were little, 7, 8, 9 years old, to dream. If there were no boundaries, no limits, what would you do? Who would you be? How would you get there? And it allowed them to be creative about what they wanted to do. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Okay, so we talked about the Summer Bridge book, the Summer Brain Quest, Summer Blast, Summer Learning packets. If your child is already out of school, it is quite possible that there are still people in the building for 30 days after that, just kind of wrapping things up. You can call or stop by there and ask, did you give out any packets? Can I get a packet for my kid? If you don't want to buy any of these, but these Summer Bridge type books are everywhere. The other thing that one of my kids did, which I thought, looking back, was really fun for them, was they were a pen pal with a student from another country, which then opened up the whole geographical, discussions for us, looking at the globe, looking at maps, discussing, travel routes, how to get there. But you've got Summer Pen Pals online, Students of the World, Pen Pal World, Global Pen Friends. I didn't use any of those, so I can't vouch for any of them. I don't know anything about any of those sites. Those are just a few. But the idea of having your student be a pen pal with a student in another country, or even in this country, can be, on the other side of this country or somewhere else, to learn another culture, to discuss another way of doing things, another time zone. It begins to open up the world for our kids, and it makes the world a little bit smarter. Felicia says also volunteering in their interest profession would let them know if this is something they really want to do. Absolutely. Absolutely. Your student thinks they want to be an attorney. You know an attorney in your circle. Someone in your circle of friends knows an attorney. They can go spend a couple of days with an attorney. They want to be a judge. Absolutely. There's a way to get them to be able to sit and view in the courtroom of a judge, or an accountant, or a teacher, or whatever it is they're thinking about. But use summer to be able to do some of those things that during the school year our students are unable to get to. And they're just not, because there's just not enough hours in the day. Summer learning loss is real. I will put up in the comments a couple of links to a couple of the articles that I've been referencing today, so that you guys can kind of read a little bit more on it for yourselves. But I am confident that just a few minutes every day out of the summer will provide our students with the ability to know that they don't have to lose any of that academic gain. Hey, Charmaine, you're going to have to watch on the replay, girl. I'm getting ready to sign off. But summer learning loss, the summer slide, it is a real thing. I think if you implement any 1 or 2 of the tips that we talked about today, I think that your student will be in a better position when fall comes. And I think if we did this universally, it would really take one of the burdens off of our teachers, to know that they literally can start the school year and hit the ground running without having to kind of backtrack and go over some of those skills from the year before. So thanks, guys, so much for joining in. Let me know if you have any questions. Put your questions up. I always kind of check back on the thread to see if there are any questions. And again, I'll put up a couple of links. Have a great day. Bye.